Hello. Hi everybody. Ooh, not so many people left, which is good because I'm going to test a new concept on you, and I'm scared to show it to a bigger audience now. Okay, so you're going to be my test pigs for this, and don't be too critical. So my name is Pavel, and I'm not selling anything. I'm actually on the buy side. I run a venture fund. We're based here in San Francisco, about 150 million under management, investing in venture equity, artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, different verticals. But recently started to do blockchain investments as well, and probably deployed more than 30 million already over the last half a year into this. We've been first investor in storage. We are we're a big investor in Telegram, recent. But here I want to talk about different things. I was thinking, okay, how blockchain can influence our life on a bigger scale, on the scale of governments, right? What's going to happen in the next couple of years with this? And that's why I call this Motherland as a service, because I think now is the time to actually ask not only what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you. We all know how government works, right? It's a bunch of guys, and they are supposed to provide us with physical security against another tribe that wants to eat our lunch, and they want to give us a legal framework so that we know that everybody playing the same rules. They are doing social stuff, and one of the most important features is they provide financial system so that people can exchange value and once again play the same rules. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of speculation about the long-term potential change with the blockchain, right? We can have an ideal democracy, we can play with our votes, we can dedicate our votes, divide our votes into different expertise and give it to different people. And a lot of interesting things will happen. We can migrate legal agreements onto smart contracts and make sure that they execute without the need of a huge institutions to enforce them. We can finally make information publicly available. But all of that is long-term. When I try to understand what kind of technology is required for that, I'm thinking like 3 to 5 generations, so 30 to 50 years. So then I asked myself a question, okay, what can happen now? What can happen tomorrow that will make a much bigger change with the governments? And I'm personally quite wealthy, so I know how the system works. When you can hire a good lawyer, when you can hire a good tax advisor, you can pay very low taxes anywhere in the world. You can pick your nationality, you can pick your motherland, you can move to any country, you can buy facilities or corporate structures that can help you pay less taxes. While if you're an employee in a large company, you're linked to that. When you make $60,000 a year, you have no options. You give half of that as your taxes, and if you try to play with that, you're considered a fraud. So what if the same infrastructure that is available now to rich people will be available on demand to everybody else? And when I say everybody else, I mean free workers primarily. So I don't mean employees of Google or Facebook or Procter & Gamble. I mean those 50 million people in the US who've chosen to work for themselves, right? It's every third worker in the US is now an independent contractor or independent worker. Outside of the US, it's even bigger. Tens of millions of people moving to online platforms to provide services, and if you can make a couple dollars a day in Africa or Asia, you're actually doing much better than most of the people around you. So it's a huge movement. but the infrastructure is not ready for those people. And the good indication of what's happening in that world is that most of the contractors now in US are registering their own limited liability company, because that allows them to build a barrier between their personal tax and the company that they're working for. And so now imagine that every of those 50 million people in US has their own limited liability company. They can start playing with all of those tools and capabilities that the rich people have, and optimize their taxes and actually make a decision, not rely on their employer to make this decision on their taxes. So when I think about this, once again, this is not a seminar on how to avoid your taxes, okay? And this is a very theoretical discussion. But I was thinking for myself, I thought, okay, what would it take to build a system like this? And the system would look like you go online, you pick a digital citizenship that you like most, that suits your current needs best of all. You pay your taxes in the cloud, and you accumulate your wealth in the cloud. You don't have to put this wealth into where you are physically, because it's a company, not you. And you only spend whenever necessary. Like the US tax authorities will consider you a US taxpayer if you are spending more than 180 days in US, and they will tax you on whatever is the value of your whatever you declare as your income here. So you can imagine the world where you can pick the citizenship, you can accumulate the wealth somewhere related to that citizenship, and you can only spend it when you need to. This looks like a scary system. I mean, this will work. This will be completely legal, but this will scare shit out of a lot of governments, primarily the large governments. So for US, for Europe, for China, this is a big threat, right? Because it's taking away taxes, it's putting pressure on their currency, it's raising concerns with money laundering. But if you think about all of those small countries that are looking for competitive advantage, and if you think about the world where countries can actually compete for you as a citizen, this is a great chance for them. And we see already a lot of governments of smaller countries approaching and asking about this and questioning. So I think I would predict that these small countries would start with the disruption of this market, and once they prove the point, once we see several precedents, then the rest of the world will have to adopt and will have to take it. So if you look on what's happening now, like Belarus is doing a big pilot project in this. Venezuela, I think, is a questionable case, but still it's a precedent. Kazakhstan, Estonia. I think over the next 12 months, you're going to hear a story of at least 10 to 20 countries launching different kind of versions of this. And once they start providing this digital citizenship and digital tax optimization, this may change completely the global economics, taking into consideration those tens of millions or hundreds of millions of free workers around the world. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. All of the images and the pictures in this presentation were done by free workers around the world. And these are my contact details. If you have a breakthrough project or interesting ideas, or just want to throw a tomato on me, please meet me after the event. Thank you.